So first, let's start the application and go to the home page. And we don't really see anything. Only when we type candy/list, that's when we can see our website. And the reason why we had to type that is because that's how we set up our route previously. So you can see that we set up the route with the default as home controller and index action if only domain is used in the URL. And we don't have home controller or index action. So when we start the application and use only the domain name, we don't see anything. Only after we type the controller name and the action on that controller, which in this case was candy/list, that's when this route is valid. So we could simply change this to go to candy by default and the action list. So if I start it now, we should go straight to our page. And you can see that this time all I have is the localhost address. I can still type candy/list and it's the same page. But now it works without typing that. But I don't really want that. So I'll revert the changes. And instead we will actually create the home controller and the index action for it. I don't want to mix it with the candy controller instead. And another thing that we need to do is to add a details page for the candy. So when the user clicks the link of a specific candy, we will go to the details page and display all the information for that candy. So we will have to add another action on our controller that will be for displaying the details of the candy. And let's actually do that first. So let's open the candy controller and let's add the details action. So it's gonna be a public iActionResult that I'll call details. And since we are displaying a single record based on an ID, I need to pass in the ID of the candy that I want to display. And we have a method for it in our repository. So I can create a variable called candy and go to our candy repository, and here we have the method getCandyById. And that's exactly what we need. We'll simply pass in the ID of the candy that we want. Next, we need to make sure that the ID was valid and the candy exists. So we'll do an if statement and simply check if the candy is null. Because if it is, then the candy is invalid and we return not found. And if the ID was valid and a candy is returned, then we'll simply return a view and pass in the candy that we are returning. So this is our details action. Fairly simple, I think. So now we have the details action, but of course we still won't see anything because we first need to have a corresponding view. So let's create one.